You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed. This is a continuation of The Reading Circle with Marc Medley. We're heard here every Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. or 6 to 8 like we're doing this morning. And then we put on the good news and song. I have all three of the hours. So as you heard me say earlier, the flexibility is there. And I'm grateful always. That's why I acknowledge it, because all DJs or all hosts don't have that flexibility. They have to stay to a rigid schedule. Because we're Brave New Radio and non-commercial, we can be less rigid. And I am thankful and grateful for that, because autonomy has its place when you have responsibility. Now, if you're a fool, then autonomy won't work for you. But if you have some responsibility about you and you know how to handle your business, autonomy works. As I said, this morning is a combination of a rebroadcast and a live broadcast. And she has patiently been on the air listening to the rebroadcast, awaiting her turn to be interviewed. And that is none other who is not a stranger to the Reading Circle. She's actually been a guest on the show before, and that's E. Wade. E, good morning.
Hello.
All right, so let's see. I'm going to read E's bio real quick just to refresh the memories for those of you who may have missed E's first or second broadcast. I don't know if this is the second or third time that E's been on the show. Knowing E as a writer and author is like cracking an eggshell in the air and wondering how far the splatter will spread. Wait, that's kind of like knowing her as a person. She's like all over the board and always working on 3 to 5 projects at a time. E doesn't favorite spot in which to write and claims, my most exciting view is pointed at the keyboard. When an idea enters my head, I just flow with it. I haven't been able to conform my writing to any specific pattern. I am more than often working on one story, and the characters from another will just be dying to get my attention, and I have to go into their world. That's just a brief synopsis of E. Again, good morning. I know you said you're calling out of Houston, Texas.
Yes, I am.
All right. So since the last time you've been on the show, we've had some new developments in terms of your writing and books that you've introduced. So we want to talk a little bit about that. So what's going on?
In June, I released 2 novels. I call them companion novels because they're on the same topic, but they're not really series. They're just, have a few of the same characters in them. And the topic is almost the same.
So what were the names of the ones released in June, and what are they companion novels to? And then I want to talk a little bit about this cracking an egg and watching where it splatters. I want to talk a little bit about that. So what's the name of the latest releases, and what are they connected to?
Okay. They're called Ismet's Honor and Ribbons and Bell. What they're about are Ribbons and Bell. It's about a girl, Annabelle Lee, and Tyson Ribbons. Well, Annabelle works in anyway, she's had problems, carrying her children, being pregnant. She's had miscarriages and everything. So what happens is she decides that she's going to get IVF treatment. And she has to go to a counselor. And it's a guy who works with her, who happens to love her, and it's a romance book where he wants to counsel her to do this, but he prefers if he could get her to marry him. But what also is a problem is that she's had to have an abortion, late term, because there was an illness with the baby and a life-threatening kind of thing. So that's what that book is, pretty much different reasons why abortion is, you can't avoid it. And from that book, when a better reader was reading it, she says, well, what happens to her friend? Her friend name is Sunny. And Sunny, which made me write a book about Sunny, which is Ismet's Honor. And in Ismet's Honor, instead of it being about the girl, I decided to go from the father's perspective, where as teens, and Sunny ended up her being pregnant and him wanting to keep the baby, but as a man, you can't make the woman keep it. But they're teens, she's 16, and her parent forcing her to go through an abortion, and he leaves. But in the long run, they come back together. And so we deal with his emotions of an abortion as a teen and what it did to him as a man. Because as a man, he was counseling other men about their rights, parental rights, and he becomes a lawyer and, helps them get visitation, custody of their children, things like that.
So how did you come up with the name Ismet? Or is there a meaning behind it? I mean, because that's a different name. That's an interesting name, Ismet. How did you come up with that?
Well, Ismet also means honor, pretty much like honorable man, and that's what his mom was. She wanted to raise an honorable person. That's who he always was. And most of my people, their names and they just pop up.
Right.
Because the book was supposed to be called Sunny Side, because it was supposed to be Sunny's story, but then Ismet popped in, and so it's more like his story.
That leads me back to what I was saying earlier. When I just read the little bio from you from Goodreads, it says knowing E. Now, do you say E or EY? How do you say it?
E.
You do say E. That's what I thought. Okay. Knowing E as a writer and author is like cracking an eggshell in the air and wondering how far the splatter will spread. So talk to me a little bit about, in the audience, what does that mean? I mean, because I get it, but I want to hear you tell it.
What is it? It just means I just write in several different genres. Whenever a story comes in, or I'd say when a person knocks on my door in that attic, and they'll say, this is the story you need to write, that's how I write. I can be working on one thing and something else will come in mind.
And you pretty much just stop whatever you're writing on at that point and start the next project?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like I was talking in the interview earlier, how that's kind of like when I read that same way. Whenever I'm kind of, my mind works that same way in terms of reading books. You probably heard me say, if you caught that piece of the interview, that at any given time I'm between 15 and 20 or more books. Kind of like that same way, that I'll read one for 15, 20 minutes, half hour, and then put that down and open up another one and read that for 15, 20 minutes, whatever. It's kind of like whichever one the spirit leads me to at that particular moment, that's the one that I pick. A good number of my books are downloaded now electronically on the Kindle. So it's kind of like wherever the spirit leads me, that's the book that I press my finger on and it opens up. So I can certainly relate to that. So how do the characters, because this is the question people always ask me, don't you ever get them mixed up? Don't you ever cross stories? Do your characters ever get mixed in from one story to the other?
As I'm writing, no, because they're all like different people. It's just like different families. No, they just don't. They all just like, no. They might live in different cities, and
right.
That's basically how the books are. They don't really cross over at all.
So whenever let me put the question this way, in terms of when you write your products, about how are your projects, about how long does it take you? Is it about the same time, or some is taking you years to write, some have taken you months to write? How long does it take you in general to write your average novel?
Well, some of them have taken years. They haven't called me back, and they're always in the back of my mind, but they haven't really said anything for me to get into them. And I'll end up maybe starting a new project and finishing those, like Ismet's Honor and Ribbons and Bell. I think I wrote both of them pretty much 5 or 6 months. Ismet was really quick because he talked a lot. I hadn't really gone into just the guy's frame of mind before, but he had a lot of things he needed to get out.
Now, I hang on. When I talk to people, because I'm kind of like a tape recorder, I hang on every word. And listening audience, I don't know if you've been catching the word choice that E has used, but she just said they didn't call me back. They didn't speak to me. And when you're working on projects as an artist, because I know exactly, again, what you're talking about as a musician, there are times when you're just not in the mood or nothing is coming through you that you're creating. So when I hear you say they didn't call me back, I mean, that's not suggesting that E is crazy. What she's talking about is like the spirit of the project. And I've had many authors, especially with character development, I get the biggest kick out of authors when they tell me how they do their character development. That literally the characters live, breathe, sleep, walk, talk with them. So what you just said was, there's some projects I started and they didn't call me back. So, I mean, am I kind of getting that the way that you're feeling it?
Yeah, exactly. Last night now when I went to bed, there's a story I hadn't worked on in a while, and it's like popping in my head, and I think that's why I'm a little confused this morning, because they were really saying it's time to get back to that book. Yeah.
Interesting, because I've put on the market 2 jazz CDs, and during the time whenever I was doing them, because they're a couple of years apart, but during the time that I was doing it, I was hearing, one of the songs that I created came from listening to a vacuum cleaner, just listening to the hum of a vacuum cleaner engine. So when you're tuned into things like that, you really can feel what it is that's trying to get out of you. So to hear you say that, like last night, these characters were wrestling with me or whatever, it's like, get back to me. That's the same way I've been feeling lately about, I got to get back into the studio. I just haven't gotten there yet. But if you're an artist, there are things that will gnaw at you until you do it. So if those characters were wrestling with you last night, they're probably going to wrestle with you until you get back to the pen and paper on that project.
Yes, and talking about pen and paper, and that's probably why they're on my mind, because I usually write, handwrite. And I found this little black tablet yesterday, and I was like, oh man, this is empty. I need to be sitting and writing in here, and I guess I done woke somebody up. They're like, yeah, write me.
So I just referenced character development. So with you, because I've heard folks that, when they say like the character is alive with them, they really and literally mean that. In their mind or in their space, that character that they're working on is there. And I've shared this story many times on the air when I'm talking to guests, how I had one author said that he originally, on the intent of writing the book, there was a particular character that he was going to kill off. But going through the process, he became to like the character so much that he couldn't do it. He had to rewrite what he was going to write. Have you ever had an experience like that where you intended to do one thing with a character and then you did something totally different?
Yes. And I kind of like it like that. I really do, because it'll change the entire story, or the ending will be different. I didn't know if I told you, I also wrote a book last year, and it's called When Clouds Touch. Did you ever did I talk that?
No, we didn't. Matter of fact, I want you to kind of talk a little bit about, because you have a lot of books out there. And so I want you to talk a little bit about, a little bit to refresh the audience's mind so they can go out and start getting E's books. So yeah, by all means, go on and talk a little bit about that one.
Okay, When Clouds Touch, it came to mind when I was riding on the highway. I was a passenger in the car, and I happened to look up, and I saw these clouds coming from different direction, and it looked like, they were going to just run into each other. And then, but it is if as they got close, they bounced away. And so I would start thinking about, oh, maybe there's angels on there, and they, don't want the babies on the cloud to hit. And that became the prologue of the book. Angels sitting there with babies on each cloud, and these babies wanted to meet, and just as their hands were touching, it's like a wind blew, or they heard a sound, and they made the clouds separate. So the characters in the book met each other many times, or were on the verge of, and they bounced away until they came as a couple. And what the book is about is this girl. Her name is Paisley, and Paisley is Asian American with albinism. And the guy, he's also what they call, he's Asian American, but he's of a more like, not Iranian, but anyway, they come together, and her parents are so protective of her because she has the albinism, she has heart problems, and she has an immune issue. So they're always so protective, and she's in love with him because they, as I said, they've met each other many times. And then this one time when they finally come together, it's like walking through a spinning door, and somehow the door slams, and that's how they end up meeting each other. And they get together, and it's a really good story, and it has so many critical reviews, which is what I've come to find out people give my books. You know how you get a lot of little short reviews on books? I end up with these long reviews, so I might not have a lot of them with each book, but they're so critical, you know?
Right.
And I really like those reviews because people can get.
Now, are all of your books available? I see them because I see them listed in the Kindle format. Are the only way to get your books are the electronic only, or do you have the different formats as well?
No, they're in print, and in most of the online bookstores. There's Ismet and Ribbons are giving me a problem because I was going through Smashwords, and somehow or other Smashwords don't like something I've done on the inside, so it doesn't want to take them into the other store. I know what it is, but I want it in my book, and so I'm going to make it work.
Okay, because I'm looking on Amazon now, and they're all. I see Ribbons and Bell, I see When Clouds Touch, I see Beads on a String, Ismet's Honor, DNA, Nothing Will Ever Be the Same, When One Door Closes, The Perfect Solution, A Suspension of Choices, The Fishing Trip, A Trial by Water, Execution and a Deliverance of Retribution, Who Will Hug the Sun, Between the Two of Them, Tripping Prince Charming. So, and Not a Sound, Not a Peep. So you've written a lot. Are these all short stories, or are these full-length novels?
No. Well, Between the Two of Them, Who Will Hug the Sun, and Not a Sound, Not a Peep are children's books. And, no, they're all full books. Let me think which one might not be. When One Door Closes, it's like 5 stories in there.
Okay.
4 shorts and a long. So there's 4 short stories and a long story in there. And Tripping Prince Charming is, that's a totally different book than any I've ever written, because it's written in, like, play form, with acts and scenes.
Right.
But it's 3 stories. It's 3 women and 3 guys who want to marry them, and, they're being kind of make me marry you kind of girls.
Oh, they're playing hard to get?
Yeah, they have their own life, and the romantic stuff drives them wild. But, and it's a really good story. Their romance is all in there. So it's like a mixed up. You get to know each one of them little relationship. In the end, it's really cute.
So now, do you write full time, and in other words, that's all you do, or do you have your career and this is what you do on the side? Because that's a lot of books.
No, I just write now because I have I've been declared disabled.
Okay.
A lot of back issues and sciatica, and it's just a mess. Not really a mess.
Well, yeah, I hear what you say, but it also, the positive side of it gives you the opportunity to just write.
Yes.
You don't have to
I used to work with children all the time, and I think that constant bending and picking them up and all that is, 30, 40, almost 40 years in child care. And
oh, that will do it.
Yeah.
My sister just finished up. She did 17 years between Montessori schools and Ys and the YWs and YCs or whichever Y she was in. And it was all working with little kids. And she got to the point, she said, I can't do it anymore. So she did it for 17 years and said, I can't do it anymore. And she's now gone into something in the hotel industry, something in that hospitality industry where she deals with grown people. And she was just like, I can't do it to little kids anymore. I can't do it. Like you just said, after so many years or a certain age, you're like, okay, I got to do something else. So, All right, we're going to take a short break. If you've just joined us, my guest in this hour is E. Wade. She's the author of many books. You heard me just read the list. If you go to Amazon.com, they will pull all the list up for you. Her first name is 2 letters. Very simple. E-Y. So E, last name is Wade, just like you do in the water, W-A-D-E. E. Wade is the author. If you put her name in Google, she will certainly pop up. And again, if you go to Amazon.com and put in E. Wade, all of her books will pop as well. All right, so we're going to take a short information sharing time, and we will continue on.
My name is Diamonds. I am a radio DJ in North Jersey. I broadcast on the frequency of 88.7 FM. I will be on the air every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. when the sun is setting in the sky. If you are out there, if anyone is out there, I can provide music, I can provide entertainment. If there's anybody out there, anybody, please. Club Melting Pot. Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Only on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Music, the vinyl frontier. Tune into the adventures of Rewind to Now. Its weekly mission, to explore time-honored music, to seek out lesser-known bands and forgotten tunes, to boldly go where the music is the star of the show. How you doing, G-Man checking in? Set your radio, computer, and tricorder to the one program that enables you to experience the future of the past through the music. We interface Sundays at 9 a.m. Prepare to be transported to a world where the music is fascinating. Set your coordinates to Rewind to Now. It's the logical thing to do. No bones about it.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
You are indeed listening to The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. And this morning we started at the 6 o'clock hour. You heard the opportunity to hear, or you had the opportunity to hear, a rebroadcast of an interview I did a couple of years ago with Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. And that was fun to listen to again. And actually it's caused me to go back and reread The Wealth Choice. And now in my second hour, this interview is live with a guest we've had on the air before, E. Wade. And we're talking about her latest releases. Now, E, I know the last time I had you on, I asked you this question because I ask all my guests pretty much the same question. And that is, I know when you wrote your first book and the print copy was delivered to your door, whether it was delivered by the FedEx man or the UPS man or the post office or whoever made the delivery, and you opened up that box and you saw the first book that says by E. Wade on there. I know that was an experience. Is it the same way after you've done many books like that?
Yes. Every time you get a box and all your books are in there, it's like, wow. And you think, wow, did I write that? All my colors are so pretty. And, it's a gift. You're getting the prize.
Right.
Your own. Yeah.
So it really doesn't change whether it's the first one or whether it's the 15th or 16th one.
No, not at all.
It's pretty much the same experience. That's cool. I mean, I always throw that question in because for anyone, if you have not created something creatively, whether it's music or writing or painting or something along the creativity or the artistic vein, to have something now that you've produced or has been produced through you, it's hard to describe that feeling in words. And I always try to get my guests to see if they can do it, because I know I couldn't do it. I couldn't find the words for it. But the only thing I could say it could possibly be close to would be for a woman who's given birth to a child. Because for the most part, you're giving birth to something, whether it's you're giving birth to music, you're giving birth to art, you're giving birth to a book, or what have you. But that's the closest I could possibly come to try to get somebody to understand what that feeling is like, to have something that you've created now manifest.
It's like, wow. That's all I could think.
Yeah, it really is. So, what are you working on now? What's the next coming projects? What's upcoming?
I have a book. It's called Valerie, and what it is, it's a book of women named Valerie. It's just women of all ethnicity, ages, and they're all named Valerie.
Now, okay, now where did that idea come from? How did you come up with that? That's interesting. And I know if there's a Valerie listening out there, Valerie Hunter, I believe Valerie, if you're listening out there, I know a couple of Valeries. So how did you come up with, I'm going to do a book about women named Valerie?
Because I love that name. And I like one of the books in one of the stories in there is an elderly lady who likes the song Valerie. It's sung by oh dang, trying to remember her name. Well, no, she just passed away. What is her name? I'm gonna have to come back to that. But anyway, as I was writing the book, I started off with one little story, and it just blossomed, and there's even little girls who want to be a hero named Valerie. And what's that other girl's name is on my tongue. I'm going to have to go hunt her up now. How Valerie wanted to be a hero. I'll just tell you this little story.
Right.
And she's a little bitty girl, and she wears her brother's boots, little red rubber boots, and a cape on her shoulder, and she wants to be a hero. She's always trying to save things. She climbs on stools and pretends she's saving people in the ocean, jumping off high ladders and into pillows and everything. Well, this time Valerie's mom sent her in her room because she's so upset that Valerie falls and almost hurts herself. So she sent Valerie in the room, and while Valerie's in there, something happens, and when she must have fallen asleep, but when she wakes up, the house is on fire. But she can feel the breeze on her feet. Smoke is in there, and she can hear her mom saying, "But my baby's in the house." And so Valerie's trying to find her way through the house when she hears the baby crying, and it's a new baby. So she finds her way to the nursery, and she picks up the baby, something she's not supposed to do, but something Valerie has always done. She's always snuck in the room and held the baby when no one's looking. So Valerie saves the baby, and as she's running out the house with her cape on, long cape, the end of the story basically is she hadn't realized her cape is on fire. So you have to just wonder, does Valerie get saved, in time, if she's out of the house or what? But that's the end of the story. Different little incidents in life.
Right.
I call them snaps in life.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
But it's just it's interesting to hear. Like I said, of all the names in the world, it just comes to you. I'm going to do a story about girls named Valerie. And as I shared with you a couple of minutes ago, the inspiration for something, whether it's art, music, writing, can come from the strangest places. And yet you'll know whenever that's what it is that you're supposed to produce. So if it came to you about Valerie, then something within the spirit said, write a book about girls named Valerie.
Yes.
So that one is, that's what
old ladies and everything in there.
So that's what you're working on. That hasn't been released yet.
No.
That's what's up and coming. Of all of them, which let's see, this, and I know this question is kind of like an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Which is your favorite out of all of them?
Out of all my books, it's Beads on a String.
Why?
Why? Because it's a nonfiction. It's a creative nonfiction, and what it is a history book. It's America's history. It's a multiracial. It has every ethnicity and race in it. Where if you go in, you can see what a Native American has done in the 1800s, or I'm not 1800s, like in the 1600s. Well, all years. If you go in the 16th, the 18th, you get to read all about the Native Americans, what Asians, or what anyone has done in America is in that book. You know, because it's separated by time span and, I want to say occupation, but activity, you know, like history or science. And so, yeah, that's my favorite book.
Okay, I'm surprised you had it because a lot of people say, really, they're all my favorites, or I don't have a favorite, or that's kind of like asking me which is my favorite child, or whatever. I mean, it's kind of like it's a tough question, but you actually have one that is your favorite, and you have your reasons behind it. If you've just joined us, my guest is E. Wade. That's E-Y-W-A-D-E, and we're talking about all of her works. It says E loves to interact with her readers. Find her on Pinterest. Let's see, it's me, E. Wade. Instagram, I'm the author, _E. Wade. Twitter, @Jump Out the Boat. All right now. Facebook, E. Wade 2. And she also has a Facebook fan group, E. Wade Simply Writing, where she shares freebies and snippets. All right. So we got what's going on. Do you do book signings as well? Do you get a chance to go into the Houston area and go out to the local bookstores and sign your work or meet your readers?
I haven't done much. I was having a little issues with the publisher. At first, I was a little small. I started off as a self-publisher, and then I moved on to a small publisher. But within this last year, let's say March, I left the small publisher. So from March to now, I had to republish all my books on my own. So they all were taken off the publisher, and I had to put them all back online and get them formatted and get them all that. So it's like, I want to say starting over and not starting over. But
so do you have your own publishing company?
For myself, it's called Wade In Publishing.
That's what I thought, because like I said, when I put your name in Google, all that popped up. So
yeah.
it's Wade In Publishing. And then you get a chance to go out and publish your own works.
Yes, I'm all on my own now.
Now, what is that experience like? Because many of the listening, there's a couple of things. There's the of course, the creative side, and then there's the business side. And once you start getting into the publishing part of it, that's the business side. How has that been going for you?
I really like it because, for one thing, I can see what's going on, which is what was bugging me before. You know, I didn't know what was going on. We would set dates for publication, and it wasn't happening. You know, and it would be like, I'm promoting, and all of a sudden you're telling me my book's not going to be published at this time, and I'm like, oh, my God. So now that I am on my own, I know everything that's going on. I can see where I need to work more at the publication, that kind of stuff. It works better.
Okay. Because some people, I can't imagine an artist saying they like the business side better, but every now and again we do. Most people say, I love the creative side, I love being the talent, but that business piece, boy, I'd like to hand it off to somebody else. And then every now and again, I get somebody to just say what you just said. Actually, I like them both. I like the business side and the talent side. And it's rare that you get somebody to say, wow, the business side outweighs the creative side. So it's rare that I get that. But that's good you like both, because you're right. Whenever you do it yourself, you have control over it.
Yeah.
You can choose your colors and your covers, and you don't have to really worry about, take this part out and put this part in, and kind of change the tone, and you don't have to worry about all of that whenever you're kind of the one doing the publishing yourself. Now, the flip side of that is, if you're doing your own publishing, you have to be extremely careful in terms of editing, in terms of making sure there are no grammatical errors, making sure that there are no run-on sentences, and the ideals flow and all that kind of stuff. So you have to manage that whole piece too, the editing and everything else?
Yes, I do. And so, or get somebody else to look over it and check it out and that kind of stuff. But mostly, yeah, you got to wear a whole lot of hats.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. Whenever you self-publish and you do your own publishing company and all that, you're absolutely right. You get to wear a whole lot of hats. All right, so now we've got what's going up next. You got all the ones that you're doing now. Do you also manage other people?
No.
Okay.
I haven't, because I don't want anybody to smack me around. I've helped people.
Okay.
You know, I've formatted projects for people, and
Right.
But no, I just format it. I give it back, and I say, "Here is all on you."
Yeah, I didn't know if, like, because now that you have your own publishing company, whether you have now people coming to you to publish their work, or you, like you just said, now I'm pretty much doing my own thing.
I've had people ask, and I'm like, "No, but I'll help you, you know, get it going." But no, because that's really hard, and it's hard enough getting your own work out
Right.
there and getting it done. And no, I wouldn't want to be disappointing anybody else.
I hear you. All right, well, we're down to the last 3 minutes before the 8 o'clock hour, and this is your opportunity to shout out and to let everyone know, like, again, we just talked about the book signing fee, but if you're going to be making appearances anywhere, or anybody you want to shout out, or either your latest book title and all, how they can get a hold of it, how they can get a hold of you, this is your opportunity to do so, and you may say anything with the exception of a dollar amount.
Okay, I would just like to say, I've been, with Beads on a String, I've been helping promote Mamie King Chalmers, who was an iconic figure in the civil rights movement, and she just recently received the Living Legend Award. And she's on Facebook, and her daughter Lasaria Almond, is on Facebook. And I just like people to check them out and learn the story and of, you know, civil rights people that we've missed, you know, like Sarah Collins, who was the fifth little girl in the Birmingham bombing, to get to know her, and she's also on Facebook. People don't realize that there was that one little girl who was still in that restroom, and her sister passed away. And
You know, I didn't realize that either, and I know that story. I've read that story well. I didn't realize. So one of the sisters of one of the girls that were killed in the bombing is still alive?
yes, her name is Sarah Collins Rudolph. And she's on Facebook, and, you know, like the anniversary just passed.
Right.
And I put a lot of that on my Facebook page about her. And, you know, I've entered her and Mamie King's In the Beads and the String. Various history books they've been put in. And, yeah.
Sarah Collins Rudolph?
Yes, because her sister's Addie Mae Collins.
Right.
So her, yeah.
Sarah, okay, I'm going to look her up on Facebook in a couple of minutes. I'll like her page or whatever. She has a page to like or something like that?
Yes, it's called Sarah Collins Rudolph, the fifth little girl.
Okay, I will look that up and like that page probably, you know, as soon as we hang up. Sarah Collins Rudolph. I'll make sure I remember. I'll make sure I don't have a senior moment. I'll remember the name.
Forgotten in history, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, but you know, because she wasn't killed, and so wow, I didn't even know. Like I said, now you've just that. I always tell people you should learn something new every day. I don't care how tiny it is. It doesn't have to be monumentous. It doesn't have to be big. So you just gave me at least one thing that I've learned new today. Just now, I didn't realize that. So I'm gonna go look her up and like her page and do some research on her as well. Sarah Collins Rudolph.
Yes, because she still suffers. She lost vision in the eye, and just think she was younger than her sister. And, you know, to remember that all the time, the bombing, the noise, and she says she can't get over the noise.
And this is going back like, you know, 40, 50 years ago. So she was a little girl at the time. She's a girl and still has not gotten over that in terms of like that. Wow, wow.
Yeah, because she was 11 years old.
Wow. All right. Well, I tell you what, I thank you for hanging out and listening to the first part of the interview as you were on the telephone and then joining us live. And because I was sharing with the listening audience over the summer, I actually took off on the reading circle, and I didn't schedule any guests. So you're kind of like my first guest back live, because I've been doing the gospel music. I do that in those 3 hours over the summer. That's what we were doing in the format. And then I was doing the best of, like you heard this morning, in terms of rebroadcasting. So you're actually my first live guest back into my new season.
Oh, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Well, again, you're in Houston, so it's about 8:01 my time, so it's about 7:01 your time. So, and I have an aunt that lives down in that area. She's in the Missouri City area, Missouri City out in Houston, and so I've been there once. And I've been to Dallas a couple times. I've been to that Houston area one time. So is it warm down there? Is it hot? Because now we're beginning to move into cool weather. We had like a little mini heat wave last week, but we're beginning to move into the cooler temperatures.
It hasn't gotten really cool at all. No, it's hot.
Okay. Yeah, Houston's hot. Yes.
Yes, I go out on the balcony and turn my plants around all the time because I'm like, you're going to burn my leaves.
All right. Well, I tell you what, you have a wonderfully blessed day. And again, thank you for rising early to join me. The latest book was Ribbons and Bells. Is that the last one?
Ismet Honor.
Ismet's Honor is the last one. Okay, so the last book is Ismet's.
No, they came out at the same time.
Oh, the same time. Okay, so Ribbons and Bell and Ismet's Honor, that's the last two released. The author is E. Wade, that's E-Y-W-A-D-E. The book is Ismet's, that's I-S-M-E-T apostrophe S, Ismet's Honor, and Ribbons and Bell. And the bell is B-E-L-L-E, not like a ringing bell, but the name Bell. All right, E-Y again, or E. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care now.
Okay, bye-bye.